Des Monaghan, we heard some interesting comments this morning. New boss of Foxtel, they've got some aggressive penetration levels. They were talking about 50%. You seem to indicate that might be a little bit optimistic, at least in the short term.
What do I know? But and I would never go against Brown Walsh with his track record. But you don't have Premier League football here, which has been such a driver in the UK. The growth already has been exceptional, and I think if they continue to do 2 to 3% a year, they will be doing exceptionally well.
Yeah.
But as I said to Brian, if they get to 50, I'll come to the unveiling of the statue in gold of him.
Sort of good news for you in a way that there is that sort of restriction on live sport, because Foxtel is using, high-end drama as one of their sort of key selling points. So it's good news for producers.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's crucially important for Foxtel as well, as it did for all players. You've got to have distinctive original programming, and there's no denying the enthusiasm of the audience for Australian programming. 48 of the top 50 shows this year are Australian.
Do broadcasters always is it always uppermost in their mind, the power that you can get with Australian content? Because it's a little bit harder, isn't it, commissioning a show, spending the money, getting it up than taking something off the shelf?
Oh, infinitely harder. I mean, it's a major risk, a major challenge for everybody concerned, and commissioners, whether they be free-to-air or STV, show great courage in doing it, and it doesn't always work. I mean, we're not making widgets, we're making one-offs every time, so it doesn't always work. It is risky, it is very expensive, but at the end of the day, it's the key to success.
You're into year one of a new venture with an international partner. You're a big European production house. How's that going, and is that giving you some sort of fresh opportunities for international?
Absolutely. We've joined forces with Banijay, who've taken a controlling interest in the company. We've been involved in many flirtations, but this was the first time it seemed right. And it's the way of the industry. We are consolidating. You need access to a major player who, in turn, has access to some of the major formats. We create virtually everything we do in-house, but if we want to grow to the next level, we also need to have access to the major non-fiction international formats.
Now, we heard earlier this year too, you might be dusting off Pop Stars, one of your big successes of probably a decade ago. Any news on sort of
yes,
progress there?
Banijay are relaunching that internationally. It is still a success in a number of countries around the world. It's never been off the air in Germany, for example, and a number of other countries. No, it's been in 70-plus countries. I've lost the number, but no, it remains the original format of that type, and it's spawned a great many admiring imitations. We're Banijay in particular very confident that it can relaunch successfully.
But you had a message for TV makers: don't try and aim internationally, aim for a market here, sort of build it and they will come.
Oh, absolutely. You've got to make for your own audience. If it works for your audience, then the overseas buyers are interested. If it doesn't work for your own audience, they're not interested. It's as simple as that.
James, you also chatted to Penny Chapman too.
Yeah, maker of The Slap, and 2 big projects soon to be announced officially by Foxtel.
Creative Director at Matchbox Pictures. Here's that interview.
Penny Chapman, Matchbox Pictures is having an amazing time. You've you've surrounded yourself with some great people. It must be an exciting place to be.
It's a very exciting place to be, and I wish I could say I'd surrounded myself, but there was this organic coming together of 5 people who decided that we'd had enough of independent producing, and that there was probably strength in numbers, and that's how it's turned out to be, I think.
And the investment from NBC Universal, that must have really kicked you along. Was that sort of the turning point for the venture?
It was very significant for us. The first turning point, I think, was some really good investment from Screen Australia in our development slate, but then came along NBCU, and the really good thing about NBCU is that they have not only put some capital into our company, but they provide us with the kind of intelligence about what's happening in the rest of the world. They provide us with connections to their other companies like the Downton Abbey producers, and they provide us with distribution advances on our programming, and they make us much more internationally savvy about what we're making.
Does that mean you can bypass some of the government funding that a lot of other producers rely on to get programs up?
There are times when we can and will do that, but we can't all the time. And for us, what's really, really important is that the government make a decision to extend the producer offset 40% level to Australian television. Because the really interesting thing about Australian television is that we are very close to being as good as, for about a quarter of the cost, of the HBO productions. With a bit more incentive and a bit more financing, we will make ourselves very, very internationally viable. And there's an enormous export opportunity here for us. And I think that support via an increased offset for Australian television will make a massive difference to the way this industry looks.
You're obviously pretty excited about two drama projects you've got on the go for Foxtel. Brian Walsh just talked a little bit about one of them, but they're big things for next year.
Yes, they are. We'll go into production at the end of next year on our Gallipoli project, which is a co-venture with Sam Worthington and John Schwartz at Full Clip in Los Angeles. And we'll go into production earlier next year with another drama that we're doing with Foxtel.
And last but not least, you spoke to John McAvoy.
Yeah, they make some great little ob docs, King's Cross ER, Territory Cops, Kalgoorlie Cops, stuff like that.
Here's what he had to say.
John, we heard this morning lots of talk about local investment and its importance, and you said it's virtually essential these days.
Yeah, mate, I think, given what's happening with, the fractured audiences and the different ways that people can get content, the fact that people can access, these new series from the US immediately, it obviously provides challenges to the networks in terms of, keeping the value of those series. So I think, local content is crucial. I think it's intrinsically linked, to the growth of, certainly subscription television. I think the audiences are crying out for local content. Whether it be local drama or local factual or local reality, they're the stories that audiences relate to, and ultimately, if we're talking about subscription television, they're the stories that are going to pump subscriber numbers, and that's what it's all about, I guess.
iWorks is very strong in that ob-doc field, so tell us what are some of the programs you're having success with here, and I think you mentioned you're getting some good international sales too.
Yeah, well for Nat Geo at the moment we're making the Croc Catchers, which is based up in Darwin, and it follows the crocodile management team as they go about sort of capturing rogue crocs, I guess, so that's gone well. Series 1's on air at the moment. We've made Kalgoorlie Cops, which went well for CI, and the follow-up Territory Cops is on air at the moment. And King's Cross ER, which we're currently filming series 2 of that. So yeah, they're filmed in locations that I think resonate, with international audiences because they're aware of the locations. King's Cross, has sold, in markets. It has sold to Discovery in America. It's sold to Discovery Europe, throughout the Nordic territories, New Zealand, same as Kalgoorlie. It's sold in a number of territories and still selling. So, things are going well.
And you're just about to start making, I think, Celebrity Splash for 7, which they announced recently.
That's right, yeah. So, yeah, looking forward to that. We're just discussing that at the moment. But, yeah, that should be a good show in 2013.
Stay with us. Coming up on Media Week, who's behind that sale of that chunk of 10 shares? Reportedly, it's perpetual. More details next.